Most recently, he served at Fort Monroe as the Deputy Commander and Chief of Staff of the Army's Accession Command, and he was, like you, a Marshall Award winner. Please welcome Brigadier General Crutchfield.
Well, thank you all. First of all, General P., General Bartell. It's always great to be around friends. General Bartell and I are great friends and have served together. It's my honor to be here, sir. Thank you for having me. Distinguished guests, but most importantly, all of you. I traveled here today to speak to you. And I hope that something that I say here in the next 10 minutes or less will, because I know it's just after lunch, will hit home. I'll start by saying this. In 1859, the Great Blondin, you know who the Great Blondin was? You know who that was? That was the person that invented the High Wire Act. You know, the tightrope? Well, he announced to the world that he was going to cross Niagara Falls yet again. He was going to do it on a tightrope. 5,000 people showed up to see him cross. Even the President of the United States was there. Halfway across, Blondin suddenly stopped. He steadied himself. You know how they do on the tightrope? He steadied himself. He did a backflip, and he landed squarely on the rope. Then he continued safely to the other side. And during that year, he crossed the falls again and again and again. Once he did it blindfolded. Once he did it carrying a stove. I said a stove. Once he did it wrapped in chains, and once he did it on a bicycle. And just as he was about to begin yet another crossing, this time pushing a wheelbarrow, he turned to the crowd and shouted, "Who believes that I can safely cross this tightrope pushing this wheelbarrow?" Guess what everybody did? They all raised their hand. They all believed it because they had all seen him do it before. So he said, "Do you believe that I can cross pushing the wheelbarrow?" And she said, yes, like she said. And he said, do you, sir, believe that I can do this crossing? And he said, absolutely. That's what he said. That's what's in my notes. Finally, yet again, he said, "Cadet Foster, the person who General Crutchfield ate your cake by mistake. Don't blame him. Do you believe, Foster, that I can cross pushing this wheelbarrow?" And guess what Foster said? He said, yes, sir. He said, yes. And then he said, "Okay, Foster, then you get in the wheelbarrow." Now, you just had a first-class education from a first-class university, and like the man in the crowd, you do know a lot of things. But also, like the man, there'll be times in your life when knowing things won't matter as much as how scary that situation may be. And when it happens, you'll have to decide whether or not to get into the wheelbarrow. You're about to join the ranks of the greatest army in the world. There's going to come a time in your Army career when you are ordered to do something that you may not believe that you can do. To succeed in that situation, you're going to have to trust. You have to trust your instincts, in your training, in your education. And when that time comes, you will overcome your fear and you will get into that wheelbarrow. What I want you to do is look to the person to your left and right now. Look to your left, look to your right. These are the people that are going to be pushing the wheelbarrow. Okay, you hear me? The people to your left and right are going to be pushing the wheelbarrow. And you're going to have to trust in them. These are the soldiers who you will trust your life with, and they will trust yours in theirs. You know, in an era when too few citizens answer the call to service, to community or to country, you have chosen to serve. You're doing so in a time of war. In a culture where so many chase the outward markers of success so that they can, that often lead us astray, like titles and status and materialism and money and fame and popularity and all the others, you have embraced the virtues that we need most right now, and that is self-discipline over self-interest. That is work over comfort, and character over celebrity. After an era when so many institutions and individuals acted with such greed and such recklessness, it's no wonder that our military remains the most trusted institution in our nation. Now, as you reflect back on your college and ROTC years, I'm reminded of a year, as General Pete pointed out, 1982, when I was sitting in the same auditorium, eating probably the same food. I chose the right cake to eat. I didn't eat my buddy's cake, Foster, in 1982. That was the year that I was lucky enough, and I'll tell you, I was lucky enough to receive the George C. Marshall Award from my university, Marshall University in Huntington, West Virginia. As you sit there, I want you to think about the future, and I want you to try to imagine just how much will change and just how much will not change. This wasn't in the speech until this morning, and I have to do this. This is what they used to produce, I'm told, like a yearbook of when I was here. I think you do this online now. 1982. I turned to one of the seminars. I was in Roundtable 19. Where's 19? Where's 19? There you are. And the topic in Roundtable 19 was about Afghanistan and Operation Anaconda in the Great 10th Mountain Division, Climb of Glory. And it reminded me of how some things changed, but some remain the same. And one of the roundtables in 1982, guess what it was? Guess what it was? I'm reading from the book here. Southwest Asia, the Arc of Uncertainty, Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. Let me read real quickly what this says, just one small paragraph. Afghanistan and Pakistan have become a hotbed of rebellion and instability. This seriously threatens our basic American interest, the preservation of American lifestyle, its values, and its survival. This was written in 1982. I thought that was pretty profound. Things do change, and some things remain the same. I want you to think about the future that you're going to face. When I was where you were sitting, a stamp cost 20 cents. That wasn't a postcard. It was a letter. There was a movie called E.T. It was playing at the movie theaters, and a show called Knight Rider about a car, a Trans Am, was on TV in prime time. The average cost of a house, $84,000. You can't buy a car these days for $84,000 in case. There were only about 500 ATM machines in the state of California, and there was no online banking. In fact, Intel had produced a microprocessor with a 16-bit. That's B-I-T. Bit. I think your watch, it's not even a watch today has that. The Wayne computer then was new, and it cost $9,000. The first cell phones were undergoing trials. They wouldn't be approved for commercial use until 1 year later, and when they did, they weighed 2.5 pounds and cost $4,000. How heavy is your cell phone? You couldn't afford it, being in the Army. There's no Facebook, no Twitter, no Google, and all the other words that are not in my notes. In fact, most of the things you use every day didn't even exist back then. Now look, this wasn't a lesson in history. All I'm trying to do is to get you to understand how nearly impossible it will be for you to imagine how the world will change in the next 28 years, in your time leading this great army. One thing is certain: things will change. I had no idea 28 years ago how important this award would be to my career. I had no idea. I wish I did. I hope you do. I looked at this book again, and I looked at all the names in the book. In 1982, when I was here in April, 5 of the people in this book are now general officers. 5, just out of this. None of us knew that we would be here. I certainly wouldn't have told you then that I'd be here before you today. There's no way. There's no way I would tell you that. I think that's remarkable. Somebody saw something in me that I didn't even know I had. They see the same thing in you. That's why you're here. I assure you, several of you are going to be senior leaders in our Army, and many of you will be general officers. If you don't believe that, again, I didn't know that would happen. So in the months, years, decades from now, should you find yourself in a moment of decision and wonder, what is expected of me? What should I do? Just remember all the things you've learned and achieved in ROTC and in college. We are the United States Army. We make the necessary sacrifices to ensure America fulfills its role in shaping the world's view of democracy and enforcing freedom around the world, enforcing the freedoms to which all individuals are entitled around the world. Throughout its history, the Army has been decisive in battle and persuasive in peace. We all serve voluntarily, and we serve proudly. Live the values, live the virtues. Do this, and you'll not only distinguish yourselves as soldiers, and one day be standing here talking to another group of cadets, you'll also lead, and you will write the new chapter in history for our proud Army. As you go forth to do this and serve our great nation, I want to say thank you and I salute you. And thanks again for having me here today.
Good.